When the best laid plans crash and burn, what do? You have to rethink, reboot, restart, and just make it work. I've done 3 pieces this week in video boot camp. I'm going to take you guys along for the ride.
I knew because Cinco de Mayo was coming that I wanted to do either something Cinco de Mayo or for Mother's Day.
I was so excited to be part of Debi Beard's DIY video boot camp, and I thought everything was going to go smoothly. Say hi to Mama Bear Blue, a fellow camper. Debbie took us to DIY headquarters where we were able to choose a piece of furniture to paint based on our contest. Look at this. This is where I was able to paint. I was stoked. Now I'm starting to get worried because all these lovely ladies are choosing furniture ahead of me.
Remember I was talking about the pieces that I wanted online. I was going between, there was a couch, there was the dresser that I liked, and then the wooden like sideboard. I bought stencils and transfers specifically for Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, or at least my vision of what a Cinco de Mayo's gift or a Mother's Day gift would be.
All my plans have crashed and burned. I don't know what to do.
It turned out better that I didn't choose the bigger pieces because I went in the back and I saw that there was a red metal bistro set, and I love little bistro sets, and it had a blue top, and I thought, this is perfect. I can stencil on this. I'll leave the metal as is and give it a Cinco de Mayo vibe.
So I can either cry or I can get to work. So I chose work.
I found a couple of extra smalls. There was this really beautiful little wooden step stool that had all of these colors of paint. It was magenta and green and gray and yellow, and I loved it, but it's not necessarily my vibe. So I decided I'm going to do like a dry brush of like gray and white over it to blend the colors more, and then put a stencil on that. The last piece I chose that day was a little planter, and I wanted to put the little bird transfer on it, and that would be more for Mother's Day. I was able to do all 3 pieces in 4 hours. So if you have a table that's ready to go, you just lightly sand the top, you clean it down, and you get to painting. I used the Jamie Ray Vintage Stencil Folklorico.
Getting ready to paint? You know you got to spray that paintbrush first. You know me, straight to work.
I used one light layer of black because the color underneath was a turquoise and I wanted it to shine through a little bit. And I purposely chose black because I knew I wanted to have bright colors to make the stencil pop.
First coat down, moving on to the next piece. Normally I don't slap paint onto stuff like this, but you know, it's boot camp. I don't have my little cups and saucers, my little salsa bowls that I like to joke about to paint with. I had to get to work and get it done. The good thing about boot camp was that I was forced to paint in a different way than I normally do, and now I know I can do it.
Waited for it to dry. I actually used the heat gun because I'm a little bit impatient.
Okay, I'm more than a little bit impatient. I'm a lot impatient, but I have 4 hours to do 3 pieces. I had to get a move on.
You have to plan out when you're putting your stencil down how it's going to fit on your piece. Are you going to have the stencil right in the middle and then try to fill in around it, or are you going to stencil around the edge?
I chose a stencil around the edge of the piece.
This is my first time stenciling, and it's actually really easy. I learned from Melissa Morrow from Vintage Bee Design, and her mother was a Trompe l'oeil artist. So Melissa's very talented as well, and she taught me how to do it in like literally 5 minutes. You dab your stenciling brush into the paint, you wipe it off on a paper towel till it's super dry. Like I was putting way too much paint on. It needs to be dry. Like if you imagine putting blush on your face, like the lightest amount of blush possible, otherwise you get like the, what do you call it? I love the look, but the punk rock stripe, you know? You don't want the punk rock stripe. You want the nice light blush on it. And you do a swirling technique. So you start on the stencil away from where you want it to paint, and you start swirling, and then you swirl onto the stencil.
Here I am, starting off with a stencil and then swirling onto it to get the paint onto the table.
I peaked on the green. Once I knew I could do it, I went for it. I swirled onto the flowers, and if a little bit of the paint got onto the leaves, well, it's a flower, it's a petal. And you know, I was really happy with the results, especially for my first time stenciling as well.
Oh my goodness, it's so pretty.
Thank you.
Here she is, Melissa from Queen Bee Vintage. She's the one that taught me how to stencil.
The base I used was Little Black Dress. And then the colors I used on the stencil were Salty Kiss, and that was my green. It was a lighter green, so it would pop against the black. I used Carnival Red to match the metal on the chairs and the table. I used Old 57. I used Liquid Sunshine. I used Cowgirl Coral, and I just went with it. I went for it. It's my first time using the paint, and I just wanted to try as much paint on as I could.
Second piece, I'm stenciling this one too. I decided to give the planter an extra wet distress before I started to clear coat everything. Don't panic when your piece looks like this. It needs to dry. Or this. It needs to dry. I'm spoiled living in the desert. Things dry so fast there. I had to pull the heat gun out again. On a side note, I don't know how I did this. I must have been laser focused because look at the beach. It was a block away. Now that this piece is dry, I'm going to put the transfer on. I'm trying to measure it out to figure out where a good placement is for it on the planter. This part was super easy. You just rub the transfer on with this little wooden stick. And then you just peel off that top piece and it's gorgeous.
You can like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It's Urban Legends Antiques. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and I have TikTok, all under the handle Urban Legends Antiques. And if you're still not sure, I have QR codes for you where you can scan it and it will direct you to my Instagram. And from there, the world's your oyster. It opens up all of my other social media platforms. Don't forget to hit the notifications button, that cute little bell, and it will notify you when my next video is out. I'm Jessie from Urban Legends Antiques, and thanks for coming along for the ride.
Here you have it. 3 pieces flipped in 4 hours, and it was all done at Debi Beard's DIY Video Bootcamp. Stay tuned for a blooper, guys.
And what, isn't there like a little bell you can ring on YouTube? Can you ring that bell so that you get a bell? Yeah, there's a bell. There's a notification bell so that if you ring it, YouTube will send you a, hey, Jessie just posted a new video.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know
like,
that?
there's a bell?
Yeah, tell
Okay.
them about the